Daniel Penny is free. We mentioned that on the show yesterday. Now he is speaking out. This is the hero Marine who stopped a crazy career criminal from attacking people on a New York City subway car. Here is what Mr. Penny had to say about his actions.
I mean, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't really extend myself. And like this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
Simple. He says if he had not acted, he would have felt guilt for the rest of his life. There is something really profound in Daniel Penny's first public reflections that we've heard, which is that the left is calling him a murderer and a racist or whatever stupid nonsense. But the right is calling him a hero. They're saying, wow, this man acted with such heroic virtue. And he's saying, no, that's not true. I acted with normal virtue. It wasn't extraordinary virtue. It was ordinary virtue. And it only seems like extraordinary virtue because we live in a particularly vicious age. I only seem like I'm a hero because we live in an age of cowards. 50 years ago, this man's actions would have been laudable, but not particularly notable. You're on a subway car. Some wacko comes on, says, I'm going to hurt all of you. I'm going to kill you. I don't care. I'm not afraid of death. He looks like a criminal. It turns out he is a career criminal. And if you are a man at all, certainly if you're a U.S. Marine, you're going to go restrain that guy. Simple. That would have been commonplace. What makes it appear to be heroic virtue today is that we live in an age where people are selfish. They're focused on themselves, not others, and not on God. So the notion of living with guilt for not having acted to help other people, that doesn't occur to most people. Because they say, what are you talking about? I don't live to help others. I don't live in the face of a transcendent moral order or accountable to God. I don't even believe in God. I'm just living for myself. So I'm going to run away. I'm going to go cower under a bench or something. The notion that you would risk your own life and safety to protect others who are weaker than you, maybe women, maybe children. Today we say, oh, men and women are exactly the same. I don't need to protect women. I'm going to go send women to the front lines in combat. I'm going to erase the distinctions between men and women in bathrooms and sports leagues and schools and everything. I don't even think there's a difference between adults and children. I'm going to give children the right to choose to castrate themselves. We're going to pretend that there is no age of consent, that there is no age of reason, that we're all just exactly the same. That's what makes this so confounding to so many people. Is this guy comes out like a lot of heroes. He says, look, I'm not really a hero. But in this case, his perspective is the better one. His is the more accurate one. He's saying, I really didn't do anything all that extraordinary. I didn't go run in front of a moving train and untie the woman who was tied to the train tracks. And I didn't do that. I just restrained a dangerous man who was threatening people on a subway. You all should have done that too. That's what he's saying. He is exhibiting ordinary virtue in a vicious age, which makes this guy who would have been laudable, it makes him into a true hero today and an exemplar for the rest of us. There is no reason that every other man on that subway car shouldn't have acted exactly as he did. Now, the libs are freaking out about it. The Associated Press writes, breaking, Daniel Penny, the veteran who used a chokehold on subway rider Jordan Neely, has been acquitted in Neely's death. Hold on, hold the fort, stop the presses. Honey, come quick. A new leftist euphemism just dropped. Daniel Penny, the veteran who used a chokehold on subway rider Jordan Neely. Is that the new euphemism we're using? That's what we're calling him now? This is the AP's version of when the head of ISIS was killed. They said an austere religious scholar, al-Baghdadi, is that what's distinct about him, that he's an austere religious scholar? Is that what is notable about Jordan Neely, that he's a subway rider? I was in New York about a week ago. I rode the subway. So how do you distinguish between me and Jordan Neely? Might it have something to do with his criminal record a mile long? Might it have something to do with the fact that Jordan Neely, who we're told is a subway rider, a Michael Jackson impersonator, a promising youth, might it have something to do with the fact that he broke an elderly woman's face? And I think he punched an elderly man in the face too. And he was just a violent criminal forever, for like his whole life. And was in that moment, and we're not even saying he deserved to die because he had been a criminal. He was threatening to harm and kill people in that moment. A subway rider. Wow, man, what's Daniel Penny got against subway riders, you know? Boy, oh boy, I got to stash that one away. That's a euphemism par excellence. Meanwhile, you have a member of the New York City Council, Tiffany Caban, who says, Jordan Neely deserved better than the violence of being denied access to stable housing and health care, and then dehumanized for it. Jordan Neely deserved better than the systems that allow for and justify extrajudicial white supremacist violence, lowercase w, against black, capital B, people. So thanks to Elon Musk, we now have community notes. So readers have added context to this post from the New York City councilman. And they write, as part of a plea agreement with prosecutors after he punched a 67-year-old woman in the street in 2021, Jordan Neely was given free access to stable housing and health care at a treatment facility in the Bronx. He abandoned the facility after 13 days. Ooh. That really seems to undercut that argument. Jordan Neely deserved better than being denied access to stable housing. He was offered stable housing. He turned it down because he was a violent career criminal and also on drugs, and also, to the left's point, did have a very terrible past, apparently his father wasn't all that present when he was a kid, and his mother dated a crazy violent person. The crazy violent person murdered his mother, and he found out about it, and it supposedly set him off on this trauma. And of course, that's deeply traumatic, but none of the accusations here against the evil white people, according to Tiffany Caban, none of that is true. He was given housing. He was given health care. He turned it down. There was no extrajudicial white supremacist violence against black people. It was just a Marine of virtue in a vicious age was protecting the people that Jordan Neely was threatening to kill. That's all it was. But what about the first claim? Jordan Neely deserved better. Even assuming she hadn't been totally wrong on the facts, Jordan Neely deserved better. That isn't true. Actually, he deserved much worse than he got. Actually, all of us deserve worse than we get. It's that line from Shakespeare. I could accuse myself of such things that were better my mother had never borne me. In the course of justice, none of us should see salvation. This is another example. Just zoom out a little bit from this particular case, Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely. Zoom out a little bit from New York City. Zoom out a little bit even from the way we talk about crime and punishment in America today. This is another example of religion dictating our view of politics without many of us even knowing about it. In this case, what this woman is advancing is a particular view of original sin. She doesn't know that. She probably doesn't think deeply about original sin or religion or much of anything at all. But that is what she's talking about here. She is talking about the notion of what we deserve. The modern leftist view is that we all deserve everything. We're so good. We deserve to be treated kindly all the time. We deserve to live forever. We just deserve only sunshine and rainbows. But we don't get only sunshine and rainbows. We get sick. We're hurt. We are treated to injustice, and we die. And so how do you explain that? The left explains that by saying there is systemic oppression. And so what is the systemic oppression? Well, he's a black guy, and the black people are always oppressed. And there has to be a white person oppressing us. Someone has to be oppressing us. In this case, not a black person, so it's a white person. And so that's why things went wrong in this guy's life. It's because of white people. Well, hold on. The father who was not present for him, he's not a white person. The guy who murdered his mother, I don't think he was a white person. The drug addictions or the mental illness or the appetites for disordered living on the street, those weren't white people. There's got to be something else here. What is it? And the answer, the Christian answer, the traditional answer is it's original sin. We have problems. We are broken. There's something in us. Something's gone a little bit wrong in creation. So then there are all these questions. Okay, is it God's fault? Did God do this to us? And the Christian answer is no. God created all things good, and man, through the abuse of his free will, permitted sin and death to enter into the world. And that good has real existence, and evil we're not in a manichaeistic, dualistic world where there are two opposing forces, good and evil. Some people hold that view, but the Christian view is that there is good, which is real, which has existence, and that evil is the privation of the good. But because we live in a fallen world, we cannot save ourselves. So we are in need of a Savior who, through his grace, through the grace that we have not merited, we are offered salvation, even though we don't deserve it. This is the context of the debate in which you see a stupid comment like you get from this New York City councilman, Jordan Neely deserved better, that we all know doesn't quite make sense, but most people today can't articulate why it doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people have at least a sense that maybe religion has something to do with politics, but most people can't explain exactly how. So when we threw Christianity out of our civilization, we thought, okay, maybe we can keep all the nice stuff, but we don't need to go to church on Sunday. Well, this is what we threw out too. What we threw out is that our most basic questions of civilization no longer make sense to us. We no longer provide answers to them. That was good, huh? That was a good clip. Now stop, ring the bell. Hey, stop. Hey, stop, I said. And ring the bell and subscribe. Thank you.